You know, it really makes me sad when a candy seller tells me they got caught by their school and now they're not able to sell anymore. And if you've never been caught, I still recommend you watch this video, as I'll give you my top 5 places to sell where you are least likely to get caught. In addition, I'll give you my best advice of what to do if you ever get caught and you're not able to sell anymore, and I'll give you examples of what I did when I got caught. First off, I've been caught a total of 6 times throughout my career, and I've been suspended for 5 days, all due to candy selling before. I know it can be very scary when getting in trouble at school because your parents might get mad at you, or you are afraid it could affect your future, such as if you're going to college. But in my experience, I was able to apply to colleges without my discipline record causing any trouble. And my parents were worried about me getting in trouble, but I told them it's not a big deal because in reality, it isn't.
Thanks to Papi Chulo TV because he sent me this candy because I liked and subscribed.
I believe every candy seller has at least 2 chances to get caught before they may have to retire for good. The first time you get caught, it will most likely be a warning. If you experience this, I would recommend looking at your strategy and changing it. Find out what made you get caught in the first place. You have to be aware of your surroundings, and you have to not make the same mistake. The second time you get caught is when they quote unquote punish you. The strategy is I would highly recommend playing the victim and tell the administrators that you are just trying to make money, you're exploring entrepreneurship, and you did not mean to cause any trouble. You need to play to their emotions as much as possible. Make them feel as much sympathy for you to lower the punishment. They know that when you sell candy, it isn't really a bad thing. They just have to follow policy. Get them on your side by staying out of trouble in other areas and keeping good grades to show them that selling does not impact your school performance. Every time I've been caught, I have come back to selling. Every time I become more secretive as I memorize the positions of teachers and security during lunch and where they usually stand so I don't sell near them. I was lucky enough to find a blind spot under a tree in one of my school's quads. That's where I record most of my footage. I honestly risk getting caught more than I have to just so I could record high quality footage. I always got what you need. However, when I sell candy during lunch, I try not to walk around as much, as I stay in one area where the teachers are least likely to be. When I'm not recording, I usually sell near the restrooms, and if my customers are male, I sell inside the men's bathroom. In the lunchroom where all the tables are located, the thing that draws attention is a lot of people standing and walking to your table, and sometimes that could draw a large crowd, and that attention is what gets you caught. So I usually walk around to tables instead of having people approach me to maintain a low profile. So my best advice for your comeback would be to start off slow. Bring 10% of what you would normally bring and only sell to your best customers, the ones that buy daily. Keep it in your main backpack or in a duffel bag covered with clothes for athletes. I would look for secret places to sell and find a rotation of locations where you could sell without drawing a crowd. Slowly up your supply and only sell to your most valued customers to avoid snitches. The thing about snitches is that it's a very hard obstacle to fully overcome. The best method I would recommend is to prevent them altogether by staying low key. If you know someone that hates you and has a potential to snitch, don't sell to them or anyone that might tell them. There's a lot of losers out there that have the focus on bringing others down, and I feel bad for them for not knowing any better. I would not recommend any violent confrontation or causing a scene, as that could get you into real trouble. If you want, you could talk to them. Note in a non-threatening manner, and try to work out the beef. Be the bigger person. I will rank the best places in which you could sell that you are least likely to get caught. I recommend checking these places out in your school and find them and start selling in them. Find the full list below in the description for your convenience. Self-explanatory. Teachers rarely go into the student bathrooms unless there's a lot of noise or people messing around. Try to keep quiet and monitor the crowd to make sure it does not attract suspicions from any school admins. When I'm not recording, I usually sell inside the bathrooms or right outside. This is when I usually record myself under the tree, the periods between classes. The few minutes you have to walk to your next class is the perfect opportunity to sell. High volumes of people moving makes it hard to attract any sort of suspicion. Find a good area to set up a pop-up shop, where there's a lot of traffic, but rarely any teachers. Take advantage of these periods as much as possible. These are my personal favorite times to sell candy. If you get to school early enough, there's not a lot of people around. Same goes with teachers in some cases. Use these slow traffic times to easily approach small groups and sell to them when most teachers are not on the lookout or are barely getting to school. I also sell after school if I have remaining supply for the day. I sell in high traffic areas such as the place the buses park. Same theory applies as the previous point. I also have dedicated customers on my own bus when I take the bus home. It helps me squeeze out a few extra sales at the end of the day. In my school, the lunch area includes two main sections. The indoor cafeteria, where the majority of people go, or an outside courtyard next to the cafeteria. I usually sell outside in areas with blind spots. The people indoors that want to buy from me, they know they have to go outside to look for me during lunch if they need anything. Before every transaction, I look around and make sure nobody is looking. Then I execute the sale. If you only have an indoor cafeteria for your lunch period, I would recommend table hopping and move to each table and sitting down. Talk to people a while and look natural. Then secretly, under the table, execute the sale. Then after a while, slowly move to the next table and repeat. Look around before opening a bag and do not serve many customers at once. Tell them to wait and serve one at a time. At the end of this video, I'll provide footage of how I do this. Bonus, the locker rooms. If you are an athlete or in a PE class, the locker room is an amazing place to sell and even stash extra supply in my personal case. The main risk is drawing too much of a crowd as people will be thirsty and hungry after the PE session. When the crowd gets too crazy, stop selling, close your locker, and get out of there. Stay low key and crowd control to make sure you do not draw too much attention and do not make too much noise. Now let's get into some examples of the worst places to sell. I would highly recommend to avoid these areas. Number 1, inside the classroom. Refuse to sell in class by telling people you do not sell during class. Tell them to meet you after. This should be obvious, but the hard part is telling people to wait until after. When they're hungry, they do not take that kindly. Selling in class causes a large distraction, and getting caught is almost inevitable. I would generally avoid selling in class. During lunch, when you draw a crowd. If you sit in the same place every lunch, you want to avoid selling at this place. People will have to come to you, and that could potentially draw a huge crowd around your table. And if you've been noticing the pattern, most of the prevention strategies is to avoid creating large crowds. Now I want to show you a clip of me walking to each table during lunch and sitting. If you have an indoors cafeteria, which most schools do, this is the best method on how to do it. If you want to see the full video, click the link on the top right corner. So let's just get right into it.
Candy, chocolate, let me know. Yes, I do. Let me know.
Is that the only bag you have left?
No, there's another one in there. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the top. I'll see you at auditions. Let me know. Yeah. Right now, I'll see you right now. Hey, do you need any candy, chocolate, chips? Nuh-uh.
That spicy special.
Well, what?
That spicy special.
All out. Always, of course. Let me know. Alright, sounds good. Do you need any chips, candy? I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll see you at the top. Oh, yeah. Hey, do you need any candy? Let me know. Chocolate, chips. Let me know. Selling it. Soon I will.
Subscribe to YouTube.
Oh, I'll add you to the waiting list. Hey, do you need any chips?
After watching this video, I hope you have an understanding that usually the punishments for selling are not that significant, as it's a victimless violation. Although I recommend you be as careful as possible to stay out of trouble. Explore your school and find places where you are least likely to get caught selling candy. And lastly, play to the emotions of your administrators if you get caught, and draw sympathy to reduce your punishment. Thanks for watching, and never forget, I always got what you need. I'll see you at the top.